Now we have the Baltimore Ravens. There's head coach Al Saunders. And Saunders is not someone I expected to get a head coaching gig again. But he was the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. And with the success Chris Palmer had, I just couldn't think of a better coach to have another shot at being a head coach. And so Al Saunders succeeds Jim Schwartz, who had about 3 seasons with the Ravens, and none of them really went well. They tried real hard to make it work. They had Jamarcus Russell, and I probably could have worked with Russell better. His overall is like 78, 79. I just felt weird about it because Russell really wasn't that type of a player. And even though I played well with him, he never made the playoffs. Last year I had some injuries with him, so I sort of played that off where they traded for Tony Romo. Josh Johnson started the game. Romo played a few. And so I kind of played it off as some chaos within the Ravens team, some drama, and placing that Russell was just an attitude to work with, which he was in real life. So right now, Russell is in free agency. I haven't decided if I want to bring him onto a team or just make him unsignable like he really was in real life. But with that in mind, Al Saunders needed a change at quarterback because I did not move forward with Jamarcus Russell. And of course, Romo left and he ended up going to the Dallas Cowboys, which is interesting. It could have been Miami or Dallas was the two that really went for Romo, and he chose Dallas. But they traded for Matt Schaub, who is a 2-time NFC Championship quarterback. He failed to win the Super Bowl, but he was very successful, largely due, I think, to Terrell Owens. Once they lost Owens, the Giants failed to really make the playoffs again. They do have Josh Johnson and Mike Kafka. Mike Kafka was drafted second round in this year's draft. So my thoughts are if Matt Schaub struggles here in Baltimore, Mike Kafka might get some chances to start. But the 56th overall, it's going to be very unlikely for him to keep that starting job for a long time. But like Brody Croyle and Kevin O'Connell, you never know. Then there's Ray Rice, 77 overall. I believe it's Rashad Jennings, rookie last year in the 4th round. There's Ware, and then I used Jason Snelling, who is a fullback I drafted a while ago. But Snelling I've been using sort of as a fullback, but also power back. He was a 7th round pick in 2007, and he's definitely been a very good 7th round pick. Now in 2007, they drafted Dwayne Bowe with the 1st overall pick in the 2nd round. He has been sort of their ideal top receiver for them. However, he tends to drop a lot. They drafted Demaryius Thomas with the 6th overall pick in this year's draft. So Thomas in real life slipped to the late teens, I believe, and went to Denver. But in my franchise, this was a big need for Baltimore, was having an explosive target for the receiving core. And where Dwayne Bowe is more of the bigger, deep threat, Demaryius Thomas allows them to be that speedster, under route kind of wide receiver. They did bring in Chris Chambers, who was with, I believe, the Chargers. Then he went to the Miami Dolphins. No, he was with the Miami Dolphins. Then he went to the Houston Texans. And so he was with the Texans for a long time. But now he's one of the role players here for Baltimore. They do have Sonoris Moss, who was a 2nd round pick for the Saints a few years back, and Kerry Colbert. But Thomas and Bowe are going to be the top ones. Another receiving target is Jared Cook. Cook was a 2nd round pick last year, 16th overall in the 2nd round. A solid player there in 2009. He looks to be a major target for them in the future with Jeff Dugan and Drescher. Now, the Ravens were one of the best offensive line teams in the league. I drafted a lot of offensive line these first couple of years with them. So Zach Strief was a great addition for the Ravens. He was drafted in 2006 in the 6th round, and he's an 82 overall. I mean, exactly what you want from a 6th round pick. Eric Steinbach was a 1st round pick, the 20th overall selection in 2003. He's getting a little bit older now, but still 79 overall. There's John Sullivan. Sullivan was also let's see, where did I have Sullivan? Was he more recent? Hold on one second there. Yeah, he was a 4th round pick in 2008. As you can see, he is a growing starter with them, 75 overall. Sean Andrews was also a 1st round pick in 2004 draft, the 21st overall pick. They also have Tony Pashos, who was drafted in the 6th round of the 2003 draft. So a lot of all of them were drafted by the Ravens, and all of them have grown into this top tier offensive line. So very proud of the work that was put into them, and I'm still working on maintaining that as we grow this Baltimore Ravens offense. Now we move to the Baltimore Ravens defense. Now, even though they've had a lot of talent, they haven't really been a top-ranked defense. You can see there's Brandon Mebane, who was a top pick. He was a 3rd-round pick, 1st overall in 2007. He's been a reliable DT there, big guy. They signed Ty Warren a couple years back. He was a Kansas City Chiefs 1st-round pick. They drafted Lamar Houston with a 6th overall pick in the 2nd round of this year's draft, right after Demaryius Thomas. Linebackers, they did have Lance Briggs, who they drafted in the 2nd round of 2003. And shockingly, Lance Briggs did not turn out to be the 90-some X-Factor linebacker that I thought he would be. He's kind of just been mediocre in his career with my franchise. That I have Vincent Ray, who's the 63 overall hidden dev. And for all I know, Ray might become the new right outside linebacker, and maybe Briggs will get a new team. There is LeVar Arrington, so he was a signed acquisition a few years back. I think he was originally with Washington team, but he was a 90, upper 80s, very good for the Ravens addition there. But now he's getting older and he's declining. Ray Lewis, who's also getting older, is the middle linebacker too. They did draft Gerard Mayo, which I thought was a fantastic pick in 2008 with a 9th overall selection, keeping that linebacking core solid. As you can see with defensive backs, they do have Vontae Davis, the 1st-round pick last year. He's a 79 overall. And then I believe it's Kelvin Hayden, who is the opposite cornerback for them. So both these players, very solid for them. Hayden was a 2nd-round pick in 2005. And then, of course, their safeties are fantastic. Brian Pollard, let's see. He was drafted 3rd round in 2006. And, of course, the legend Ed Reed, X-Factor 93 overall. So they have a lot of good players on defense. They don't always turn into the highest-ranked defense, surprisingly. I think if their offense improves, that's going to help their defense, too. Because sometimes when your offense is not doing well, your defense gets beat up. As for special teamers, we have Kevin Huber and Robbie Gould. Gould has been a very good kicker for them, very reliable. And so there you go, the Baltimore Ravens. Let me know if you think the Ravens are going to make a comeback this year with Al Saunders as coach, and will Matt Schaub revive his career here in Baltimore?